Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, June 19th. It is the Solemnity of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus. So, um, talk a little bit more about that here in a second, but just a reminder that we will be celebrating our normal weekend Mass schedule this weekend. 4:30 Mass on Saturday evening, tomorrow evening at St. John the Baptist. We will be celebrating confirmation and delegated by the bishop to do that. So that's the time we're going to do confirmation for our 8th graders, and then there's a few adults too that will be confirmed at that Mass. Then also too on Sunday, we have 8:45 Mass at St. Michael's and 10:30 Mass at St. John's. And we'll at all the Masses, we'll be asking for God's blessing on all of our fathers, since it's Father's Day. So that's coming up this weekend. Also, too, there are confessions on Saturday starting at 3 o'clock, 3 to 4:15 at St. John the Baptist. And our Adoration Chapel is set up now as the confessional. So I mentioned today is the Solemnity of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus. Also, too, it's an ordination day in our diocese. So this evening at 7 o'clock at Rosary Cathedral, there will be ordination to the diaconate of two of our seminarians, Albert Beltz and Joseph Momini. So please keep them and their families in your prayers this day. And that will be live streamed, so probably go to the diocesan website for links for that. It is by invitation only. Because of all of the restrictions that we're still following, it cannot be open to the public. So it was by invitation only, but there is the live stream of the ordination this evening at 7 p.m. And as I mentioned, this feast, or the Solemnity of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus, a little bit about this, probably we can trace devotion kind of to the wounded heart of Jesus, or to kind of the wounds from the Passion. That would go back all the way to probably about the 11th century. I think there's evidence for it going back to that point. There may have been devotion to it even before then, but we have evidence of that. The Sacred Heart, though, as its own kind of special devotion, the first kind of maybe evidence we have of that was in 1670, a French priest, Father Jean Eudes. There is a congregation of the Sacred Heart. I think the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Immaculate Heart of Mary. They're called the Eudists that he started. So he celebrated, kind of inaugurated this feast of the Sacred Heart. But probably the name that we most closely associate with it is a sister by the name of Margaret Mary Alacoque. So St. Margaret Mary. Began to report visions about at the same time around 1670 of Jesus coming to her. In December of 1673, Jesus allowed her to rest his head upon his heart, and she experienced the comfort of his presence. Jesus told her of his great love and explained that he had chosen her to make his love and his goodness known to all. And so in June or July of 1674, Margaret Mary reported that Jesus wanted to be honored under the figure of the heart of his heart of flesh. He asked the faithful to receive him in the Eucharist frequently, especially on the first Friday of the month, and to observe a holy hour of devotion to him. So probably that's something, First Friday devotions are something that many of us are familiar with. It was in 1675, during the octave of Corpus Christi, so the 8 days following Corpus Christi, that St. Margaret Mary received the vision which came to be known as the Great Apparition, where Jesus asked that the modern Feast of the Sacred Heart be celebrated each year on the Friday following Corpus Christi. That's where we kind of have it right now, in reparation for the ingratitude of men for the sacrifice which Christ had made for him. The devotion became very popular after St. Margaret Mary's death in 1690. But like most things, it takes a while before the church makes these widespread. It kind of grows on its own and becomes maybe more of a local devotion until it eventually spreads throughout the entire church. So the devotion, the Feast of the Sacred Heart for France, where it kind of had its beginning, that didn't become established for the entire country of France until 1765. And then in 1873, devotion to the Sacred Heart was formally approved by Pope Pius IX. And 26 years later, on July 21st, 1899, Pope Leo XIII recommended all bishops throughout the world to observe the feast in their diocese. So that's a little history on where we get the Solemnity of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus. It's always a reminder to us of God's love and mercy for us. That's the heart that we celebrate. That the heart of Jesus, that was pierced on the cross and flowed out blood and water, the sacramental life of the church, that Jesus continues to pour out his love and his mercy upon us. And we know that the Sunday after Easter, that's devoted to the divine mercy. So these in a way, these become kind of hand in hand, those devotions, as we see them, even to the image of the divine mercy, kind of those beams of light coming from the heart of Jesus. So God is reminding us in a couple different ways through these devotions of his desire for us to experience his mercy. So it's a good reminder to us too that we want to seek out his mercy, especially in the sacrament of reconciliation, that we're always called to repentance, and that we have great confidence that in the heart of Jesus we experience, the fullness of God's love and his mercy. So I hope everyone has a wonderful solemnity of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus today. Again, pray for our ordinands for this evening at 7 o'clock at Rosary Cathedral, live streamed. If you want to watch that, pray for all of us who will be in the cathedral too, because it's a pretty hot day and the cathedral doesn't have air conditioning, so it could be a pretty warm evening there, but I'm sure it'll be still a beautiful celebration, as they always are. And then just another reminder of our weekend schedule, that we have confessions Saturday afternoon from 3 to 4:15 at St. John the Baptist, and then the 4:30 Mass on Saturday evening at St. John's. We'll also be celebrating confirmation. And then on Sunday, we do have an 8:45 Mass at St. Michael's and a 10:30 Mass at St. John's. So hope everyone has a wonderful day. Hope everybody's able to stay cool. Whatever you need to get done, let's get it done early, I guess, today, while it's still before it gets too hot and too humid. But we'll continue to try and stay healthy and try and follow all the precautions that we've been asked to do to keep this pandemic that seems to be kind of under control, at least in our area, which is good. But we want to maintain our vigilance for that and keep looking out and praying for each other. And so through the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus, may God bless you this day. Have a great day, everyone.